I am absolutely going to testify. I won't even say his name. He is an evil being, and it's going to pay.
I just said that it seems very odd and strange when you watch those videos with Diddy and Justin Bieber talking.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second.
Bieber, just looking at his body, I ain't no body language expert, but he just seemed very uncomfortable.
Justin Bieber's camp is finally responding. So his representatives told TMZ, quote, although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him. Shifting focus away from this reality detracts from the justice these victims rightfully deserve.
I think that I was just, living in this shame, living in all this sort of stuff of my past, and I wasn't able to move on.
Are we going to see some celebrity friends testify at this trial?
What did Justin Bieber say on the stand that made Diddy lose his composure in front of the entire courtroom? Witnesses claim it was a moment no one saw coming, and it left everyone stunned.
Young I was and so impressionable, and you have everybody telling me how awesome I am at all times, and
It's like taking a kid and putting a kid in a room full of nothing but sweets.
Right.
And just saying, I'll be back in 2 days.
Exactly. I just want people to understand, the psychology behind why I potentially could have problems in my life.
So a lot of people watching this have probably seen this swirl on social media about a connection between Justin Bieber and Diddy. This has been going on actually for years, where people have wondered what kind of a relationship did they have, and really what people are asking is, did Diddy Justin Bieber?
Okay, I had to trim that. He said people are asking, did Diddy Justin Bieber? I had to trim that out. Just letting you know, I don't know what else is going to be said in here. But that had been the rumor. That had been speculated. And a lot of people are just trying to figure out, is that tied to the connection of him spiraling, and it just seemed like he's very depressed out there in public, and it seemed to be heightened when all the news about Diddy came out. So that was a connection.
No, it can't be, because one of the biggest questions in the Diddy trial is what other celebrities will be named, who participated in the freak-offs and who witnessed the freak-offs. I mean, Diddy's white parties are infamous, and one of the victims that people have been talking about for about a year and a half now has been Justin Bieber. And now finally, after week 1 of trial, when we know that Don Richard is the next witness and we're going to start hearing who the government thinks is going to help corroborate their case, we are not going to hear from Justin Bieber. And it really goes back to a video when he was about 15 years old, when Combs said he was going to spend 48 hours with Justin Bieber. And that's when all the speculation began. Bieber's camp didn't say anything until now, but I think it's important that he did. And he also, like many celebrities in Hollywood, want to stay as far away.
The courtroom was already buzzing with tension, but the atmosphere shifted dramatically as the doors opened and Justin Bieber walked in. No one expected him to show up, let alone take the stand. It was one of those moments where you could almost feel the collective gasp ripple through the room. The media had speculated for days about potential witnesses, but Bieber's name wasn't on anyone's radar. A calculated move, no doubt. He walked in with a quiet confidence, his head held high and his gaze steady. There was no trace of hesitation in his movements. Dressed in a sharp, understated suit, Bieber looked more like a man on a mission than a pop star. His calm demeanor hinted at just how serious the situation was. All eyes were on him, but the real focus was on one man. Diddy. He froze. The second Bieber appeared. The usually composed music mogul couldn't hide his surprise. His eyebrows lifted ever so slightly, and you could see him exchanging quick, tense whispers with his lawyers. People in the audience leaned in closer. They're hushed, murmurs filling the silence as Bieber made his way to the witness stand. Even the judge seemed slightly taken back, though they quickly restored order in the room. What made this appearance so shocking wasn't just who Bieber was, but the layers of history between the two men. For years they had been connected, Bieber, the rising star under Diddy's watchful eye, and Diddy, the industry heavyweight, casting a long shadow over pop culture. The idea that Bieber would stand up and testify against someone who'd once been his mentor, that's what sent ripples through the courtroom. And the fact that Diddy apparently had no idea this was coming, it added a whole new layer of drama. From the looks exchanged between him and his team, it was clear. They were caught off guard. Bieber's confidence didn't waver as he took the oath. He answered the judge's questions with a steady voice, showing none of the nervousness that would have been understandable under the circumstances. The murmurs from the audience faded as everyone leaned in, waiting for what was to come. This wasn't the boyish, carefree Bieber that fans had grown up with. This was a grown man with something to say, and the weight in his expression made it clear he wasn't holding back. The choice to keep Bieber's testimony a secret until the very last moment was no accident. Experts are calling it a strategic move by the prosecution designed to catch Diddy's team off guard. And boy, did it work. You could almost feel the energy shift in the room. Lawyers shuffled papers, leaned closer to each other, and whispered urgently. Meanwhile, Diddy sat rigid, barely moving, except to occasionally fidget with his watch. If this was meant to unsettle him, it was doing the job. But why was Bieber's testimony so significant? That's the question everyone was asking. For years, rumors have swirled about Diddy's inner circle and the secretive exclusive parties he hosted, events shrouded in Hollywood gossip and speculation. Bieber's presence seemed to confirm that these weren't just baseless whispers. His testimony hadn't even begun, but his mere arrival suggested that long-held secrets were about to be exposed. And judging by the way Diddy shifted uncomfortably in his seat, he knew it too. As Bieber settled into the witness chair, the courtroom fell eerily silent. The anticipation was so thick you could almost reach out and grab it. People glanced between Bieber and Diddy, waiting to see who would blink first from the outside. Bieber seemed composed, maybe even cold, but those who knew him saw the determination underneath. It was clear he had a story to tell, and he wasn't here to mince words. Diddy, on the other hand, couldn't keep his composure intact. A subtle movement, here. A deep breath there. He was unraveling in real time. It wasn't just Bieber's presence that shook him. It was what it represented. The courtroom wasn't just a place for legal proceedings that day. It felt like the stage for a reckoning years in. The making. As Diddy leaned over to whisper something to his lawyer, you could almost see the wheels turning in his head. He knew whatever came next wasn't going to be in his favor. But what exactly did Bieber have to say? What details could he possibly reveal that would shift this trial's trajectory? One thing was certain. Everyone in that room understood the stakes had just gotten much, much higher.
I just want to protect her, you know? I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to, you know, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. So, yeah, if she ever needs me,
Let's just say that Diddy didn't do anything to Justin Bieber. I'm just wondering, because of Justin Bieber's age at the time, did he have women, and when I say women, I'm talking about grown women, come over and, you know what I mean? Because that would still be bad. So, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Another possibility could have happened.
Emails, the text messages, the words that she put, those words of affirmation. So to the extent that there are other victims, that's how the government's going to be able to overwhelm the defense here. And if it's a celebrity victim, even better.
See, here's the thing. You know, I think about it, and I'm sure he didn't want to, I guess the idea is, you know, not distract from the conversation that's being had. But to make a statement towards the end of the week, after opening statements, after or towards the conclusion of Cassandra Ventura's testimony, when he makes a statement confirming that there were people harmed by Combs, does that signify to you that he believes the prosecution's case, or does he think it's beyond the criminal case and based on the accusations we've seen in the civil arena?
I think it's probably the former. And like you said, the key part of that statement was denying that he was a victim. But really talking about the other victims. And it wasn't alleged victims. He said other victims, well, through his spokesperson. So I think that is very, very important. This isn't a Michael Jackson type case where, celebrities are rushing to Combs's defense. Very few people are. And the fact that you have someone come out that really isn't 50 Cent or someone who, is trying to make light of it, or a documentary about it, and really point the finger.
Justin Bieber's first words on the stand were simple, clear, and delivered without hesitation. His tone wasn't angry or aggressive. It was careful, like someone trying to ensure every word landed exactly the way it needed to. I'm here to tell the truth. He started locking eyes with the prosecution. The courtroom was silent. Everyone waiting to hear what one of the world's biggest entertainers was about to reveal. For years, there had been whispers, stories, and speculations, but no one in the room expected Bieber to bring those rumors to life in such a direct and matter-of-fact way. Bieber described his early interactions with Diddy, painting a picture of a younger version of himself, eager to fit in, grateful for Diddy's mentorship, and often doing whatever he was told without thinking twice. I trusted him, Bieber admitted, his voice steady but tinged with something deeper. At times, it seemed like he was choosing his words carefully, almost deliberately leaving out specifics, but even those omissions carried weight. When the prosecutor pressed him about certain events, particularly Diddy's infamous parties, Bieber paused for just a moment before answering, "I've seen things at those parties that I can't forget," he said, the room hanging on his every word. It was that line, simple but loaded, that seemed to hang over the courtroom like a cloud. What had he seen? What did he mean by things Diddy, who had been sitting rigidly in his chair, suddenly shifted, his jaw clenched, and his eyes darted toward his legal team, who were furiously scribbling notes. It was as though Bieber had just confirmed decades of rumors with one carefully worded sentence. Bieber didn't stop there. Without going into every detail, he spoke about the unsettling atmosphere of those events, how even as a teenager he could sense something wasn't right. "There were times when I felt like I didn't belong there, like I shouldn't even be in the room," he explained, his voice unwavering. He continued sharing moments that pointed to a deeper, more troubling dynamic. "There were a lot of people who were a lot older, and it always felt like you weren't supposed to ask questions. You were just there." By the time Bieber started describing specifics, the energy in the room had completely shifted. People were leaning forward. Reporters' pens were flying across notepads, and Diddy's legal team looked increasingly panicked. Bieber spoke about how parties seemed to hold a strange power over those who attended. It wasn't just a party, he said, it was controlled. You didn't question it. You didn't say no. That line sent murmurs through the crowd. If what Bieber was implying was true, it could be more than just a blow to Diddy's reputation. It could change the entire direction of the case. What really caused the audience to stir, though, was when Bieber mentioned how these events and Diddy's influence impacted him long afterward. He admitted that he had struggled for years to make sense of everything, hinting at how those early experiences shaped his mental health and his career choices. Every word he spoke carried a punch, not just because of what he was revealing, but because of who he was. Justin Bieber, someone who had spent years symbolizing fame and success, now lifting the curtain on a much darker part of his past. And then there it was, the moment that visibly rattled Diddy. Bieber, without hesitation, said, "I wasn't the only one. There were others, a lot of us, and we all knew it. No one said anything back then because we couldn't." The weight of that single sentence hit the room like a ton of bricks. Even those who hadn't been paying full attention were now locked in their shock written across their faces. And he broke a slight but noticeable shake of his head, a clenched jaw, and what looked like the beginning of a whispered argument with his lawyer. All gave away how much this testimony had shaken him. Bieber's calm delivery only made it worse for Diddy. The defense team looked like they were scrambling to regain control, but Bieber wasn't letting up. His testimony wasn't just adding weight to the prosecution's case, it was reshaping the entire narrative. By the time he left the stand, the damage had already been done. The audience couldn't stop buzzing about those final words, and Diddy, for the first time, truly seemed cornered. What Bieber said wasn't just shocking, It was potentially case-breaking.
Are performative, and that Justin was friends with Diddy's two sons, but it really wasn't any kind of a relationship with Diddy.
Y'all feel what I'm feeling? Hold up. He said something very interesting in there. He said that Justin Bieber isn't a victim of Diddy's, but he didn't, you know, a lot of times when you hear them talk, and I even have to throw the word out there, but he said that Justin Bieber's team said there are other victims. He didn't say allegedly, right? He didn't say there's allegedly other victims. Also, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, if Diddy is saying, or Justin Bieber is saying, his team is saying that Justin Bieber was friends with his kids, why isn't there any footage of that? You know, you just see Justin Bieber and Diddy, Justin Bieber and Diddy. You don't see Justin Bieber. I'm just saying, I ain't saying those videos don't exist. I'm just saying I haven't seen them. Any footage of Diddy's kids and Justin Bieber hanging out, having fun together. You know, to me, it sounded like Diddy was trying to take Justin Bieber under his wing, show him the industry, show him the ropes, show him all the stuff that comes with the fame, if you know what I mean.
There isn't, and the defense is obviously trying to separate physical harm from sex trafficking and sexual assault, but, you know, the average person who's watching isn't going to be making that distinction. That may matter in the case, but it's not going to matter in the court of public opinion.
And you know, Bieber's statement, it comes as this TikTok started floating around on Friday. There was a